This next somatic sequence is pelvic tilts, and this can help to relieve some pressure or some tightness in the pelvic region and through the pelvis. And it's just simply exploring the full range of motion of your pelvis, tilting forward so you get a little more of an arch in the back, and then tilting the other way, nutating so that your low back goes towards the ground. And just moving through this full range of motion sometimes can help you find a little bit of relief in this area from all the muscles that are deep in the pelvis. So we're going to start in our constructive rest. So that's lying on your back, knees bent, feet on the floor, legs about hip width apart. And then just notice, if you need to make little adjustments, make some little adjustments. And then notice where your pelvis is. And you may even take your hand and see if you have any space between your low back and the ground. And just depending on your body, we all have different bone shapes, the way that our bones are coming together, the musculature. So just notice what the curve is like for you when you're in neutral. And then the hands can be wherever you would like. So we'll start by tilting the sits bones down towards the floor, and that'll create a little bit of an arch in the back. And your arch may not be as big as mine, it may be bigger. And then you're going to come back to neutral. Sits bones down, arching the low back, and then come back to neutral. Let's do that a couple more times. Just slowly, just starting to explore the range of motion and with your pelvis, the way that it can tilt. Okay, the next time you're in neutral, stay there. Just notice what that feels like so you can start to internalize what does it feel like for your pelvis to be in neutral. You don't have to look in the mirror. What does it feel like? Now we'll go the opposite way. So now tilt your sits bones up towards the ceiling so the low back is pushing down towards the floor, and then come back to neutral. Low back to the floor, sits bones tilt up, and then come back to neutral. And then do that a couple of times, just exploring going in the opposite direction. And what you might notice is that when you're pushing your low back into the ground, tilting the sits bones up, your abdominals start to engage. Let's do it one more time. And then come back to neutral. And then just notice, how does it feel? What does it feel like after? Did anything change after doing it in one direction or the other? And then you can put the whole thing together, going from the full range of motion from one extreme to the other. So start by tilting the sits bones down, getting that low back, that arch in the low back, and then going all the way back through, low back to the ground, tilting the sits bones up. And just go back and forth. And if you want to pause in between, in the middle and neutral, you're welcome to pause. You're just starting to explore that full range of motion of the tilting of the pelvis. And then you may notice your head starting to move. Without you trying or making any effort, just that movement up the spine may cause your head, when you get the low back arch, maybe the chin is coming down towards the chest. And when you are low back to the ground, the chin is reaching up more towards the ceiling. And then come back to neutral. And if you wanted to I sometimes like to get a little bit faster and just these little tilts, just using my heels to push my body on the ground, which is giving me these little pelvic tilts. Okay, and then come back to neutral. And close your eyes or keep them open, but just take a moment to check in, see how that feels in the pelvis. You can even straighten out the legs and just check it out. Okay, so that was our simple pelvic tilts, and that's something that you can do while lying in bed, when you first wake up, or right before you're going to sleep, or just taking a little bit of time to relax on the ground doing your pelvic tilts.